Hey guys, what's up? We have more Heroes of the Storm content on the channel today. A best of 3 series between Fnatic and Gamers2. It is the bronze match in the Topachat Tournament, and we have our first map, which is Cursed Hollow. So this is a best of 3 series, and both of these teams are of course at the European top, like in the top 5, and they are very solid, so I can't wait for this match to begin. For Gamers2 in the first game, actually, once again, this double warrior setup that we've seen a long time with Leoric and also Johanna, so they can do a lot of damage with that. And it's not only the damage itself, it's more like the presence on these lanes, right? You can push them in quite easily. We have on Leoric, of course, that skeleton swing that does a lot for that, and Condemn on the side of Johanna. And they have really strong heroes behind that as well for damage, also for like direct damage and auto attacks with a False Stat and a Vala. So both of these taken, so it's that 2 warrior, 2 damage dealer setup that Gamers2 is running here. Then again, on the other hand, we have Fnatic with a Tyrande in the mix. They are running a Jaina here, and they also have a Zagara. So once again, like a lot of lane pressure that they have. They have also stun potential, especially since they are running an Uther, and they have an Anubarak. So not really that Muradin setup that you always want to go for, since Gamers2 banned Muradin out, but they replaced Muradin with an Anubarak, and he has a good initiate with a Burrow Charge and also a stun. So you're still trying to get that stun into stun lockdown, where then Jaina comes in and says like, oh, look at that, the stun target, thank you very much, drops that double blizzard, and then you're dead. So that's what the teams are currently trying to open up within this best of 3 series. Cursed Hollow, as mentioned, map number 1. Let's find out together which team is going to take the lead in this best of 3 series here at the Topachat Tournament. Alright everybody, welcome to the petite finale here on the French stream. Actually, it's the English stream of the French tournament. That makes a bit more sense. We have game number 1 between Fnatic and Gamers2, the third place decider between the two of them. And to the left side, it is Fnatic with Breeze on Anubarak, Lowell on Zagara, Whoopi on Jaina, Main on Rhaegar, and Kaysil on Tyrande. To the right side of the map, we have their opponent, Gamers2, with Leo from Poland on Uther, Bashek on Falstad, Shihu on Leoric, Yuva on Johanna, and the last guy on Vala. So yeah, our observer here was a bit too fast. In case that you didn't know, for this tournament here in particular, we have a dedicated observer, so I'm actually casting from a clean feed, and I'm not in the game myself, so I don't have any control over the camera or the talents, but Karma has been doing an amazing job throughout the entire tournament thus far, and I expect nothing less in this game now. So talking a bit about the talents here, of course, as well, we have Corpse Feeder, as already highlighted, on Zagara as a level 1 talent, so it's a bit easier to push with that hero now for them. We're seeing the double warrior setup on the side of Gamers2, and especially that Leoric is just like these days super annoying, isn't he? So a pretty cool hero, especially if you team him up with another one and a second tank. The Colossal Totem on level 1 for Rhaegar, so he's not going into any kind of build where he's highlighting the mana reduction on this chain heal on level 1. We're seeing him instead with the Colossal Totem. It could be a potential level 16 totem as well, with the Earth Grasp totem, which can be kinda nice. And Kaysil goes for a full owl build apparently on Tyrande, not even bothering with a level 1 talent where you would like to go into Ranger's Mark, but instead goes straight for that cooldown reduction on his Empower. So also pretty cool to see that. So a few adjustments in the builds. Vala going so far for a multi-shot build, but of course has the option to go into the arrow then lay down as well. So it's going to be a fun one. Oh, and the kill against Johanna already. Nice lockdown here. Breeze, Kaysil, and Whoopi. That's of course the 3 heroes that can deliver most of the damage. Muradin got banned out earlier in the draft from Gamers2 to prevent exactly that roaming squad that can take them on. But again, stun into stun, a follow-up too, and Leo is losing a lot of hit points, but Bashek is already driving Kaysil back. So well played here on the side of Gamers2, but it's really dangerous to go up against Fnatic in this case now, because they are roaming the map and trying to get their kills in. We had for Fnatic also a position switch. We see now Mane on the healer. It was Whoopi before, and Mane joined Fnatic a bit earlier than Whoopi and was mostly seen on one of the range assassin positions. But now that they have Whoopi in the team and he's also the shot caller for them, they started to switch around a bit, because Whoopi on the healer position was just not... Well, first of all, it was a bit of wasted potential, since he's a really good range assassin player, and he's also pretty good on that flex position when he sometimes has to play the second tank. But he's also the shot caller, and having him in the healer position didn't really make too much sense for them, so they've been rotating around a bit. Bashek down here needs to be... Oh my god! What the hell? Bashek nearly dying there. I would have laughed so hard if he died to the Siege Giants. Can move away now, of course, but that was a bit awkward. and that would have been very, very embarrassing if he actually died here. Hardened Bones taken on Leoric, and if you remember the game that Na'Vi played, they have a very annoying style. the Big Lebowski style for the for Leoric, for the Skeleton King, where he just goes into the lingering apparition as well, and then just doesn't take, like, he doesn't care about anything that happens, and just like walks on one lane, pushes that in, and always moves away once that his opponents are trying to take him out. That Wraith Walk is just so good for that. Puncturing Arrow, so the hybrid build with the mass damage for Vala. Probably gonna go into the repeating arrow on level 7 then for the extra damage. We're seeing now Pierce taken for Tyrannus, which makes of course a lot of sense. I mean, on this map in particular, if you want to cancel one of the tribute channels, then you can use the Owl here, and they've already been going into the build earlier. Tyrannus can also get quite some decent damage in, especially later on when she has Ranger taken on level 16. What we're having now up at the top lane, well, Mena is currently over here on his Rhaegar, and it took the Feral Heart, stun into stun, but Bashek is able to move away with his Master Skin Falstad here. So yeah, job well done so far. Both of the teams still fighting for the tribute. Tribute has not been taken yet. It's rotations on the map, and you can really see there on the minimap that every single time we have a hero rotating, his counterpart also moves with him. So at the top lane, it was still Vala and Anubarak fighting against each other for experience and trying to push the lanes in. And in the mid lane, when Johanna rotates, Wooby on his Rhaegar rotates with her. But now they're trying to get this one again. Rhaegar is still in the mid lane, bursts the wave down, delivers level 7 into their hands, and now he can rotate again. Johanna's actually the one moving up to the top, because that minion wave is now nearing the towers, and they want to make sure that they don't lose anything. We have both of the teams now on level 7, and this case, Juve is moving down again. This is Johanna. We have, by the way, not the lingering apparition taken on Leoric, but instead it is the potion, so to say, the renewal. Leo is... Yes! No! The Owl is there. I was just about to say he's getting it this time, but he didn't. Level 8 versus level 7. Fnatic doing a decent job with getting all of the experience here, so really well played. We're having now, again, Shiku in a bit of trouble. Yeah, sorry, Kazel, that's not how it works. You cannot stun the ghost. It's actually kind of funny. Today I had a guy in the game against me on ETC who was trying to mosh pit me while I was already in the lingering, or like in the apparition mode in Wraith Walk on my hero, and it was pretty funny because I was the only one around, and he really tried to mosh pit me. Not even my ghost, but the body that I left behind, and that doesn't work either. But apparently he didn't know that, and made for a very funny moment in TeamSpeak. But well, as you can see, with the level 7 talents now, we're having also the steering attack taken for Vala, so didn't go into the repeating arrow, which we oftentimes see for that max damage, but went into a hybrid build, if you so want, basically having now also a fair amount of auto attack damage. This particular build that we see now would allow Vala to go on level 13 into Giant Killer and then put a lot of pressure on Anubarak. Not quite sure if that would really be the best choice in this case, especially since we're having not only Tyrande but also Jaina on the opponent's team. So personally, I'd say that you either go for the Frost Shot, which is going to give you a whole lot of control, and you probably should do that, or if you feel pressured, you go into the Spell Shield, which really keeps you alive in those engagements. Level 10, much faster now for Fnatic, and they should be able to get that second tribute that we see on the map. So a quick move up to the top would be enough to claim this one, since there's no way that Gamers2 is really going to try and contest that without having level 10. Web Blast against Uther has been taken. The Maw is also there, and of course with Jaina going into her trade talents on level 1 and level 7, Deep Chill and Frostbitten, we're seeing her now also with even more control in those fights, thanks to the Water Elemental that she's going to choose here. So yeah, pretty much everything as expected thus far. We have Shiku at the bot lane, still holding the lane against Lowell. And I mean, the reason why we are seeing Leoric on the bot lane is that Zagara is there. And Zagara is an amazing solo laner, but so is Leoric. So his job is going to be to just make sure that Zagara doesn't take this entire wave down, or this entire lane, and that's extremely important. And any other hero would have been kind of lost there. Maybe with the exception... Oh, nice! Blessed Shield and Condemn against Anubarak. Breeze gets healed by Mena, and there's even an Ancestral healing. Better safe than sorry, that's what the dog is thinking here, and Breeze is able to move away. But for a second that was a bit scary. Bashik, by the way, really didn't touch too much on the build on Falstad. I mentioned the auto attack build that Meteor Makers is using these days against double tanks already, but of course this is more the standard build that you oftentimes see on Falstad, with the Gathering Power on level 4, the Power Throw on level 1, and in this case I suppose that we are actually seeing Boomerang Secret Weapon, not 100% certain, we didn't really see that yet, but yeah, it could be both of these talents. It depends a bit on what kind of build he wants to go for. We're going to see that later on with the talents. But at least for now, it's already pretty clear that with only one tank on the opponent's lineup, he doesn't really want to go into that auto-attack damage build because it just doesn't make any sense for him. So Shiku down here with the Drain Hope against Wooby. Gets stunned out though, but that doesn't cancel Drain Hope, in case that you didn't know. So stuns do not affect that at all. March of the Black King has been... Oh! The Hinterland Blast! And they drop Zagara. The Maw still goes through. Falston now taken out as well. Kesel is in the backline, but he is very much alone against 3, and Gamers2 able to get the kills in. So now it's 1 kill against 2, but we are seeing also Leo very, very low. He's probably not gonna make it. Nope, he's down already, but his ghost is still around. Nika is also losing hit points, especially since Breeze is trying to push him back. Whoopi and Mena with him still in the fight, but they are split. It's a very awkward position for them to fight in. They deny the tribute on the other hand, and as long as they are here, it's very difficult for Gamers2 to take this one. And Gamers2 can't just simply move back because that would curse them. So they need to be super careful. Of course, a problem that they have is that they are on the clock here. In just a few more seconds, we're going to see level 13 for Fnatic, and that's all that they need to use that extra talent against the Polish team. They're moving in again. Shihu with the Wraithwalk, and up at the top, Nika is always using his range now to just push them back, at least for the time being. Breeze is there. Juve moves in again. Breeze already low. Oh, but the stun against Leoric. He gets healed though. Kesel eats a lot of damage as Vala activates her strafe for a second. But we have now also Zagara coming in from the bot lane. So let's see how exactly this is going to work out against them, because that level 13 talent should be there any second. But Fnatic doesn't even fight for it anymore. Fnatic just says like, alright, you have the tribute. We kind of screwed it up a bit. But now we have the level 13. With the level 13 talent, we're having now a Nubarak with an even more tankier build, since he went straight into the spell shield. Overflowing light still for Tyrande. We're having Healing Surge, Spell Shield, and Spell Shield Nubarak already mentioned. And of course, it is an Ice Block on Jaina. So, Fnatic is actually not too far ahead right now. They have that one extra tribute that we talked about. It's 4 kills against 2. Gamers2 is playing a very solid game here as well now, and they have their own talents. And with that, I'm pretty curious to see what Vala is going to take. I would say Frost Shot is definitely a solid talent for her, but she could go into a Spell Shield. Static Shield taken, double Spell Shield already. And yeah, Fanatism for Johanna going into... Oh, sorry, Hold Your Ground. Fanatism is, of course, a bit later. But not going into a Spell Shield, which she could have used here. We are seeing the Frost Shot as expected on Vala for the extra control during the fight. And there comes the first go for one of the bosses. So Fnatic is basically with this attempt saying, you can take the tribute, we already have 2, you have only 1, so you have to go for the tribute. But while you do, we're going to get boss, and the problem for Gamers2 is that they don't have the time to take their own boss. So Fnatic is just going to rotate up to the top after they take this one, let the boss push the bot lane, and then they contest what's going on over here. And they should be able to be there in time, and that would be a very dangerous situation for Gamers2. Main is already on the way, LOL as well. The owl hits, reveals the position, heroics are there, more can be used, and they are starting to move in. Water Elemental and Starfall in position. Here comes the Hinterland Blast, they're going straight for it. The boss is getting really low, but the Maw already sectioning them off, and in the back line, Uther is dead, and they're going straight for Vala with another kill. Juve is extremely low, dies on his Johanna. Leoric is dead as well. Everybody down, and the boss stolen by Fnatic. It was just a bit too obvious what Gamers2 was trying to do here, and Fnatic with the timing that they used at the boss at the bot lane, they were in a great position to take this one. They just move in and say like, thank you very much, friends. The Keep already attacked at the bot lane. That's where the boss is currently starting to do some work. The level 16 talent will be ready for Fnatic in a second. That is of course extremely dangerous. Zagara was pushing in together with the Siege Giant Camp and the boss up at the top lane a bit. No creep spread, by the way, over there, but we have Breeze now moving into the mid lane and trying to take down another 4. That would be the third one to fall. They have Ranger now on level 16. Rhaegar is actually waiting. I've been talking about the possibility of him going into an Earthgrasp Totem on level 16. You would give up Tidal Wave for it, though, and Tidal Wave is pretty amazing. Now there comes the tribute, and that's of course the worst timing for Gamers2. There's the Tidal Wave. Alright, so they don't go into the Earthgrasp Totem. They are saying, yeah, 1 talent for that is enough. He's waiting though with this one. I'm not 100% certain why that is. Kesel is not channeling. What are they waiting for? There's not really too much to take. The rest of the team moves over. Apparently what they're really trying to do is just get everybody in position first, and thanks to those owls, he could time that, and he times it so that the team is already at the wall. So, yeah. Pretty nice, pretty sneaky. I haven't seen stuff like that happen too much. One of the things that comes to mind is when Team Liquid, back in the days when Brightwing was still used, on Haunted Mines, or left one skull in the mines, went in there with Brightwing, and then phase shifted to the rest of the team that was already getting into position to help out the Golem. So that's pretty reminiscent of what exactly happened back then. Mid lane is being pushed hard. That one camp that they already took earlier helps them, of course, with this as well. And that's another good timing that they used there. Level 17 versus level 15. That extra talent strong for Fnatic, and they are starting to put that to use, especially, of course, when it comes to the heal and the Ranger talent on Tyrande, who's going to get the damage in here. Nice approach by Bree. Starfall to back it up. And the Web Blast in the back line against Uther. Down go Falstad and Leoric. Without the healer support, there's nothing that they can do. Johanna gets shielded with a Divine Shield. But this is looking very grim now for Gamers2. The Polish team is about to fall behind in best of 3 series here. The first keep is down, and that Bruiser camp that we already saw earlier is already at the wall for keep number 2. But at this point, it might not even matter, because it looks very much like Fnatic is just going to go for the kill here. Or are they? 2 heroes are still dead, and they apparently don't want to fight that 5 versus 3 just under the core. So instead, they are moving back again. They know that they are super far ahead in the game right now. And we are seeing Gamers2 hit level 16, and therefore Fnatic just saying, alright boys, we don't really have to fight now, we can wait a bit longer, move back, try to get 20, and then move in again. We kill the keep, that's more than enough, and we have a very solid experience lead, which in this case is actually like 3 entire level. Overdrive taken for Falstad. We're seeing one imposing presence on Johanna, and Leoric went, well, it could be the renewed swing, it could be the double swing that he is using here, but it's a bit more likely that he went for the sustain talent on 16. We're probably going to see that in a bit if our observer highlights that. Benediction for Uther is pretty much what can or could be expected here. So let's find out what exactly he's going to do with that. I mean, probably going to be the double heal. It's kind of fun when you play quick matches and you can go into the double stun, depending on what kind of composition you run. It's a pretty cool move to make, but normally it's of course all about the heal and nothing else. But yeah, instead of the renewed swing, we could also see Consume Vitality. So currently it's still the camps that they're aiming for, and Fnatic, they want it all. They go in even without the level 20 talent. March of the Black King used, and also Hinterland Blast, and with both of those talents hitting the same path, the same corridor, Jaina had no chance of escaping. Actually, that's not quite true. She should have hit that ice block of hers at proper timing, and then she might have been able to survive this one. As is, though, that wasn't really an option for her, and she goes down, so it's a 5 versus 4, but the camp was taken by Fnatic anyways, so it's not too much of a big deal. They're starting to wait for the next tribute, and with that level 20 talent that is now going to be ready any second, this is going to be very difficult for Gamers2 to deal with. The good thing for Gamers2 is that with the curse that we just saw for Fnatic, Fnatic needs 3 more tributes to really make something happen. Gamers2 actually expects the boss to be attacked already, and they moved in. They shouldn't. What are you doing? What is this? Is that professional suicide, or what exactly is Gamers2 currently thinking they're doing here? Yeah, well, I'm not quite sure what's that all about, but taking that boss when the opponent is 3 levels ahead in level 20, a bit optimistic. I guess you can try and sneak it in, but once that they realize that somebody is there, they get the curse at least for free, so I suppose that's a bit of a plus. Problematic is only that all of the waves are so far pushed in that even with the curse it's not going to do much more than simply de-push the lanes. So they didn't lose anybody there, but the boss is now taken by Fnatic, and they are starting to move in the bot lane, and I don't really think that they're going to care about the curse at all. They're just going to move in with the boss and going to try and end the game. With the extra talent that they have, a double bolt of the storm, rewind on Rhaegar, which is amazing. Tyrande going for a Storm Shield and a Nubarak with more sustained thanks to that hardened shield that reduces the incoming damage by 75% for a couple of seconds. It is just an amazing set of talents that they get here. So much survivability now on them, and the boss alone is already going to do a lot of work. 17 minutes into the game. Oh, Johanna! Uh-oh, Divine Shield already out, has been used. Needed to use it to keep Yuva alive. The boss is already about to drop the shield, but it's the attack against Leoric, who uses his March of the Black King. Doesn't do enough damage though, and we already have the core down to 60%. Things are looking bad for Gamers2 in this first game. Fnatic is about to win the first one. 13 kills against 3. They focus the core, and this is it. Game number 1 ends in the hands of Fnatic here at the 3rd place decider match between Fnatic and Gamers2. Fnatic with a solid... Yeah, Fnatic here with a very solid performance, taking game number 1 in this series. But we have Gamers2 moving straight onto the second map, saying, "Alright boys, listen up, we are going to play Shire right now." Shire is going to be map number 2, and actually Gamers2 has something very interesting right now that they want to play. They have a triple warrior setup that they're running here. A Johanna, a Leoric, and also a Tyrael. They have a cool healer with the Malfurion that can of course also put that area heal in, but with 3 tanks you have already a very sustainable lineup, and then the backline that then decided to really unleash the beast. They have Khaldor, and on 16 that's of course where he's going to have his power spike, and that's what they are currently hoping for. The thing is that for Fnatic we have a single healer. It's only the bug up at the front, Nubarak, so if he's going to survive or not, that's something that we have to find out right now. But they have a lot of damage. They have a Vala, they have also a Jaina, which is of course really cool for them at the front line to dish out additional damage. And with this they're also running a Zagara, so it's a lot of lane presence that they have. But the same thing that we had on map number 1 also applies. We have with Leoric and with Johanna of course heroes that are extremely good at pressuring a lane thanks to Condemn and Skeleton swing. Gamers2 has to win it now though. They have to win here if they want to force a third map. If they lose on Shire, then Fnatic takes it with a 2-0. And let's find out together what's going to happen here. Is Fnatic going to win the bronze match? Are they going to take down Gamers2 with a 2-0? Or has the Polish team a chance to come back into the series? Alright, welcome everybody. We are in game number 2 between Fnatic and Gamers2 here at the Topachat Tournament. To the left side, Fnatic with Main on Uther, Kesel on Jaina, Wubi on Vala. We have Lowell in the setup on Zagara, and Breeze on the tank playing Nubarak here. To the right side, Gamers2 with Nika on Tyrael, Bashek on Khaldor, Shihu on Leoric, Leo from Korea on Malfurion, and Juve is playing Johanna for the team. So we're having a triple tank composition for Gamers2, the Polish team with a lot of aggression here, thanks to those 3 warriors. We're having Fnatic on the other hand with only 1 warrior, so Breeze will have to... Yeah, he will have to really win that brawl at the front line somehow, but then again we have a lot of damage that they can use to really take their opponents down. Zagara can use her more later on in the level 10 fights for zoning, sectioning off a few heroes of Gamers2, and then especially Vala has the opportunity now to go into a more of an auto attack damage build and try to get that giant kill on level 13 so that she can do extra damage. Goes into Frost Shot on level 1. I'm not liking this too much. After we've seen in the last few days how strong these auto attack builds are on Vala and also False Stat thanks to Meteor Makers against double tanks and even triple tanks, it's just amazing to have those. Vala goes for a Frost Shot and ooh, nice burst against Zagara. First kill here for Gamers2. But as I said, Vala is going for a Frost Shot and you can get a lot of damage with that out. Don't get me wrong, it's not like it's a horrible build or anything. Probably we're going to see the same build that we've seen in the last game where you go into composite arrows on level 1, you go into the puncturing arrow of 4, on 7 you have the choice between the double vault, or you can simply go into searing attacks, and then later on 13 it's mostly Frost Shot that we see there. But I still think that an auto attack build against the triple tank lineup would have been better in the long run, so I'm a bit surprised that Wubi doesn't agree with that and goes instead into that multi-shot here once again, because if you watch the last few days and well, maybe even the last 2 weeks, we've seen Meteor Makers with a really strong focus on False Stat and the auto attack build as soon as they meet double tanks, and some of the teams were so annoyed by that that they even banned out False Stat, and then the only thing that Meteor Makers did was simply pick Vala and play the same thing with Vala. So that worked extremely well, and therefore I thought they would adjust a bit. Either way, the one thing that we have now is Lowell also in at the top lane. Once again, still has to be quite careful. The one disadvantage that you have, by the way, just to like following that up and like put all of that in, if you go into an auto attack build, you of course run the risk that your opponent then later on takes imposing presence on level 16. But we have only 1 hero in the game that really relies on most of his damage with the auto attack. So even if Gamers2 would have done that, oh, nice attempt to kill Mene. Yes, they get the second kill. With warriors, you're usually in the early game always quite strong since they can take a lot of damage there. But yeah, the thing is, like, if you force the opponent in opposing presence, you deny them other abilities that are quite strong on these talents. So yeah, double kill against Namo Gamers2 as well, taking down Malfurion and Johanna. So already well done there. So that's pretty cool. And in this case, we have Tyrael, by the way, in the Tyrael Charger, so he's using the right mount. Should get an achievement for that, because that looks just absolutely sick. The level 4 talents are by now in there, and we have even the arsenal now taken with 3 frontliners at the opponent's setup. He's just like trying to get the extra damage in with this. Breeze is going for an attempt to stun Shihu out on Leoric, but the Wraith Walk kept him safe, and even the second hero moving in didn't do anything. So at this time we have now Boundless Conviction taken on Uther. Has the extra range and width now on his heal that he can use. Both of the shrines here on Dragon Shire in our second game are now in the hands of Fnatic. Gamers2 is of course down 1 map in the series already. That means that they have to really put everything into this one, or they will lose and then take 4th place. Fnatic has a chance to take the 3rd place in this small final, the 3rd place decider. We're seeing Gathering Power for Khaldor. He had an opportunity to go into an additional stun here, but decided against it, so we don't see that. We're having on level 4 now also the Heart and Bones taken for Leoric, so it's again this build, and we could even see them go into the Lingering Apparition on level 7. In the last game they went for the Renewal to give him that kind of healing potion. Good kill against Johanna, by the way, really moving in to take this one down. We have level 7, therefore a tiny bit faster for Fnatic. Not that they can capitalize on it. I mean, it's not like they are massively ahead with this. But there's the adjustment on the Leoric build. On this map, that was exactly the map where Na'Vi played this Big Lebowski style on Leoric and just like chilling up at the top lane and trying to push that in. That's also one of the reasons why we're having Zagara on that lane, to push him back and make sure that he can't do that. But the Lingering Apparition is definitely going to keep him safe. Malfurion also did not go for his... Yeah, he could have gone for either Cleanse, or he could have gone... Yeah, well, Cleanse is probably what he really wants to go for here. But in this case, they decided against it and just simply said, alright, it is the Enduring Growth, and I'm going to get better healing numbers out there. We have a double battle momentum on the side of Gamers2 with Johanna, and also the Tyrael until the side of the opponent. It's Lowell who has the talent taken. Mana is definitely going to be an issue for him, at least in the early stage of the game. Corpse Feeder once again taken for him, by the way. Mene saves himself with a good stun against Juve. That was an important one, but Leo is about to die. Oh, he gets away, but the kill against Jaina. Really well done. What a close call here on Malfurion. Is able to get out of there. We're having a Breeze moving into the mid lane with his Nubarak to make sure that he's denying the Dragon Knight, or potential Dragon Knight, to Gamers2. The rotation at the bot lane, trying to capture out another shrine. And over here, Unstoppable, of course. Yeah, well, Johanna is just having a good time here, is chilling down to the bot lane. The shrine is in control of Gamers2. At the top lane, Lowell, he's waiting. He's trying to take it, but Shihu is already making his way over there as well, trying to take Zagara out, and that leaves all the pressure on Breeze in the mid lane. He's the one who has to try and buy some time here, but it's really difficult for him to do that. Kesel is trying to capture the shrine, and yes, they get it. It was a close call, though, because we saw Bashek already at the dragon statue trying to channel it out. Well played here by Gamers2, but Fnatic denying the Dragon Knight, at least for now. 6 minutes in, and the level 10 abilities are going to hit any second now, and there they are. The Divine Shield, Water Elemental, Rain of Vengeance for Vala. We're seeing also more, and the additional Webblast. Webblast also being used in the last game, and the triple tank setup that we are having on the side of Gamers2 so far put in a lot of pressure, but now that we have the level 10 abilities, now it's getting interesting. And no Sanctification, but instead... Oh, Lowell, Judgment, and goodbye. No, what? You got to be kidding me! No way! Lowell survives, even the Condemned not taking him down, and Shield Glare was still in cooldown, so Juve couldn't use it to snipe Lowell. Judgment used by Nika to get the kill, but that did not work, and Zagara somehow survived. God knows how. Well played there. And will be a bit too fast on that Rain of Vengeance. Could have actually used it a bit more to the left, I guess, and if you would have positioned that properly, they should have gotten the kill against Leo. But as is, Malfurion gets away. Jane, on the other hand, yeah, she escapes too. So she is able to get out there, but Juve is under a lot of pressure. We have Bashik also on a very low hit point pool here, but they all move away. It is in the mid lane. Well, in the mid lane there's nobody to get the Dragon Knight statue, but they rotate over. Nika is making sure that nobody is channeling the Dragon Knight, so he's already in the mid lane. We have everybody else starting to rotate over there as well, except for Lowell, who's still pushing the top lane. Is thinking about a rotation though. And down here, Kesselman and Wubby. It's like the entire team is here. They're zoning out, and yes, Breeze takes it. Good job and well played by Fnatic. So now they can rotate again. Immediately Uther going to the bot lane. They have a heartbeat on every single lane to make sure that they get all of the experience that they can while the Dragonite is drawing the attention. And you don't have to YOLO in with that Dragonite. It's not one of those things where you just have to right-click your opponent's structures immediately. You have more than a minute on that thing. So just chill. Be there when you need, try to draw some attention, allow the rest of your team to rotate, to do some work, and if everybody focuses on you, then move back a little bit, wait for the cooldown on your Breath of Fire to be ready again, and just like put that in every single time. Kason and Whoopi with an attempt at kill, slow against Bashek, and they get an easy kill against Kel'Thas. Tyrael gets punted away, and that allows Breeze to move straight through the wall, takes down the gate as well. Job well done. And up to the top lane, Shiku and Yuva are currently doing their thing there, but Zagara is keeping them at bay. So Whoopi is starting to move down to the bot lane. Nope, he is actually keeping the heartbeat in the mid lane, getting even more experience for them. They have the level 13 ability now with that frost shot. So the thought process of Vala here is really to just put some additional control into the team fights with the slow against the 3 melee heroes and put the damage in, instead of just trying to deliver more single target damage with an auto attack build, which I personally would have really loved to see here. But it's just the idea of slowing everybody down, making sure that they can't get into a position, and against 3 melee heroes, if you hit them right, you can really get a lot of control in one of those fights. We have Ice Block on Jaina. There's also the Kaitinas plating now for Nubarak, with Mutalisk taken on Zagara. Mutalisk is such an annoying talent. Like, normally when a Hydralisk follows you, you can at least go behind the gate, and then now all of a sudden there's Hydralisks or Mutalisks everywhere, they just fly. It's a little bit like StarCraft 2, you're just like super annoyed. Mutalisks are a pain to deal with, and unfortunately for Shiku at the top lane here, there are no auto turrets on this map. But actually, looking at the talents, we do not have Mutalisk taken, no. Instead, Zagara went into the additional damage and range on it. The Grooved Spines have been taken here. So yeah, for a second I really misread that talent. So we're having the Grooved Spines over Mutalisk. Surprises me a bit because I can't really remember when I've seen that this last time. Oh, the attack in the mid lane! No way for Lol to escape this one. He was able to get away the first time that they tried to attack him up at the top, but this time the hate is real. 4 heroes rotate over. Shiku probably yelling in TeamSpeak, "This bloody Zagara! Somebody help me! I want to kill her! I want to see her dead!" And at some point they just had enough and they moved all over and they took her out. The problem, of course, that you have with the Zagara is that she just doesn't have an escape until basically level 20. I wouldn't call her more an escape, so yeah, that's not calling the heroic an escape. It's probably a bit too much. Nice done against Vala. Whoopi in trouble, but drops the Rain of Vengeance, and they get a kill against Jaina because of it. They get a kill against Tyrael, and we still have a Web Blast active. Look at Bashek here in the back on Kel'Thas. He is getting zoned completely. Bashek is slowed by the Water Elemental and dropped. Kesel might die. Oh god, my god. Kesel doesn't even die, like they take Malfurion and Kesel survives. 9 kills against 4. At the top lane, Shiku is doing this Big Lebowski Leoric style where he's just trying to push in the lanes, but it is very different than what we've seen from the opponents, well, from Na'Vi the other day, just because in their case there is a Zagara on the map that can really push them back and make sure that Leoric is not getting too much siege damage in. We're seeing level 16 talents now on the board, and Vala even going into... Vala going actually into an executioner with this one. And considering how much slow we have with Jaina in the game, with the additional stuns and then also the Frost Shot, that makes a lot of sense. That's going to be a lot of damage. They got a Dragonite too, so that's the second Dragonite statue that they get in the game now. Top lane is being pushed by 4 heroes. That's why we are seeing Kel'Thas with an immediate Phoenix here, trying to zone them out and push them back. But in the mid lane, there's only 1 hero currently trying to deal with the Dragonite, and that is usually resulting in a few structures taken out. Oh, the Maw in this case not doing anything. Web Blast in the back line, already eliminated, so the web is down, and therefore Bashek is free again. But Kesel, as mentioned before, the Dragonite is still in the mid lane and is starting to do some serious work at that fort. Haven't really killed one yet, except for the one at the bot lane, but top and mid are still intact. Kesel pushed back, but the rotation is happening. Breeze with an attempted stun, but the Iron Skin trade activated by Johanna to get away. Very good timing here. This is one of those situations where you really just you have to hit that D and make sure that you're not getting stunned, because if you do, there will be a follow-up and that might potentially take you down. Fnatic, thanks to all the effort that they put in the early and the mid game, they are now on level Level 17 versus level 16. We still have a double imposing presence, by the way, on Leoric and also on Johanna. So in this case, just like to theorize a bit again, if we would have seen an auto attack build for Vala, the primary target for her would have been at the front line, at least Tyrael, and then she can also try and go in and drop one of the other targets. But of course, imposing presence shuts you down on your auto attack quite a bit, and then you have to rely on the rest of your spells a lot. But we're having them on level 16 versus 16. Breeze actually with a quick pause here. So in this case, we're yeah, it seems to have a few lags, but so far things are actually looking very good for them. They're currently on 9 kills against 4. They are 17 against 16. But that's the really dangerous situation in the game. This is really where you are in a position where you are ahead and you know it. You took down a few structures of your opponent. You got 2 Dragonites, so you feel pretty good. But you cannot get overconfident, because the problem is that now they are on the same talent, right? And once that happens, you can lose a fight quite easily, and that is the one thing where they really have to pay attention to. Once again, while we have this pause, I want to make sure that everybody is aware that I'm not in the actual lobby, so that also has a bit of an influence on the quality of the stream here, but also the camera control is in the hands of one of our French observers here, of Kama, so thank you very much to him, just that you guys know why I'm currently not looking at the damage as I usually do, or like double check a few of the talents here. Currently, an attempt to take down after Tyrael died, the second hero on the side of Gamers2, which apparently is supposed to be Leo, and yeah, here comes Kesel, gets that Cone of Cold in again, and that is of course quite a lot of burst damage. Kesel riding in style here, as does Vala. The 2 girls on the set are both riding money picks, I'm liking that. So apparently, like, they've been doing quite a lot of work here. They got the money together, the 20,000 to get that money pick, and of course Jaina even riding a side saddle here. That's a girl. That's my girl. Well, right now we have down to the mid lane. We're actually seeing still 2 heroes. There's currently Abathur and Nubarak on the way. And we're also having a good old Uther. Uther still rotating. We have a move. And Leo is actually pausing. So apparently it's not only Fnatic that is having some trouble with their connection, but the Polish team as well. They went into Tenacious Roots on Malfurion and also Live Seed for the hero, so the healing numbers for him should be pretty solid. We're having Juve apparently with a few problems there, so whatever it is, thankfully it didn't take too long, but we want to make sure that everything is smooth, because it looks like Juve... a Battle.net restart request? Okay. Apparently there's automatic updates or something like that's activated. Be it as it may, it is Shiku who's in trouble up at the top and not Juve, and he has no excuse for that kill. So even with the Lingering Apparition and his Wraith Walk, he could not get away. Breeze took the Shrine, and therefore bot lane is going to be quite important for both of the teams, especially for Gamers2, since they're trying to deny the next Dragonite to their opponent. So that's what we're currently having here. We have Nika starting to rotate with 3 of his mates up to the mid lane. They're trying to get a kill in against Whoopi. Condemn is there, and great Divine Shield, really well played. That was already the attempt to Judgment Vala. Oh, actually, it is the Rain of Vengeance again, and a kill against Kel'Thas, who is forced to the side, and even with the Phoenix he couldn't survive here. Yeah, Juve is also getting rather low. Whoopi positioning himself again. Nice control. I really like the positioning of Juve in these fights. Always making sure that he has an escape path available. Kesel is taken out by Shiku, who moves in from the side. The Wraith Walk actually wraiths away, but he is, yeah, not stunned out. He already got the Drain Hope in against the Nubarak and keeps himself alive. But we have Tyrael and Kel'Thas down, and that's now a 4 versus 3 situation on the map in favor of Fnatic. So we could now see another attempt to go for the Dragonite, but it's Johanna that rotates to the top to claim the Shrine, but it is Whoopi, the second tank, or the tank for Team Fnatic, who's also moving straight on the spot. We have Whoopi, sorry, Breeze of course. Whoopi actually is on his Vala, still doing damage against Leo, went in there with a strafe. So while we had the fight up at the top lane for the Shrine, we saw the rest of the Fnatic team moving into the mid lane to catch this one, and Lowell, now in Zagara, is able to get the Dragonite here. Zagara is a pretty ugly bug, and therefore she's probably like really happy to finally be a smoking hot Dragonite. Well, I'm not quite sure. Well, it has, the thing is, like, you know, it's maybe not it looks a little bit like an alligator, but let's be honest, I mean, you have wings, you have also a tail, and you have a battle axe. So that's pretty cool. I'm not quite sure if that thing really looks like a Dragonite, at least not in that thing. That snout looks a little bit like it's an alligator. But yeah, I suppose they're in the same same class, same animal family, or whatever you want to call that. So yeah, Lowell in the mid lane. Bottom line, he's doing damage, right? And it's definitely an improvement. From Ugly Bug to Dragon Knight, I mean, there's something to say about that. So the Ugly Duckling is making the transformation. Lowell in the mid lane, taking care of that first wall and also making sure that everybody has to rotate over, because at this point in the game the Dragon Knight does serious damage, but you can really tell that he's not committing too much, right? If you play quick matches, Hero League, whatnot, you oftentimes see a lot of people that catch the Dragon Knight and they just like right click that wall and then they get bursted down immediately. Not so Lowell, he buys some time for the rest of the team. They didn't do too much damage with this, but they were able to do quite a bit, and they just moved in and said like, alright, I'm gonna buy some time, I'm gonna get the Breath of Fire in, I'm gonna get a few hits in every now and then. I'm gonna buy us some time so that we can do work at the bot lane now as well. Level 20 abilities bring a lot of mobility for Fnatic. A triple bolt of the storm on all 3 damage dealers, and we're seeing a move into the Bruiser camp, but yeah, Breeze had to move away here with the Burrow charge. That was just like too much, and he was the only one on the spot, so there was nothing that the rest of the team could do. They were maybe thinking about jumping in for a second, but that would have been a huge risk. Especially with now level 20 talents also available to Gamers2, you need to be careful. I mean, if I'm going over this, once that level 20 is reached, it comes down to how many structures you killed and not to how many kills you got, because this is now a whole new ball game, and with 14 kills against 5, Fnatic has been dominant, but this could all change right now. So we're having a double hardened shield. We're seeing also indestructible. That's a lot of sustain. It's going to be super difficult to kill these guys, especially with Malfurion providing a storm shield. And Khaldor, who was one of the primary targets so far, has now a Bolt of the Storm, so he can always bolt away. And Breeze is actually trying to move down with the rest of the team, and Leoric is up at the top doing his solo push thing. So it's a 5 versus 4 situation. And they have Web Blast on Tyr. Yeah, Tyr is not going to make it, is he? He's trying though, and the rest of the team is now there. So apparently they are willing to fight, and yes they are, especially since Leoric is already on the way. But they're disengaging. Okay. So they're disengaging for now. They're moving back a bit. We have level 21 versus level 20. We're 19 minutes in, and that also means that those Dragon Knight statues are, from now on, hitting like a truck. They're going to be extremely scary. Like, the longer the game goes, the more damage they do. And once you hit like 1,000 damage with every single hit with that battle axe, you do, of course, extra damage against structures, then you are, like, you can basically take the game on your own. Just move in, right-click the core, and finish it. And moving in again. And Kaysil is... Oh, they're jumping forward. Wow, aggressive blinks. Oh, the Ice Block had to be used and the Divine Shield. I'm not quite sure if that was not a bit too aggressive. The kill against Jaina. Fnatic with a very aggressive attempt to snipe one of the targets, and that did not work out. So all of a sudden, it's them who's in trouble. They get initiated upon. Breeze and Lowell just barely move away. The Web Blast was used in the back, but here comes with the Rave Walk. Shiku moving in with his Leoric, trying to slow them down with a skeleton swing. Mina! Wow, nice Maw. Good disengage. That was important. That was really an important one. Oh my god, I really thought that they would die there, but Zigara had still yeah, she still had the Maw available. And that was important because that was a risk. I mean, Jaina is still down, and you could really tell that they were just looking for an engagement. They were basically looking for an opponent that they could take down, and then once they had or saw an opportunity, they both blinked in Vala and Jaina and started with the Rain of Vengeance and trying to just lock him down, and that did not work at all because Khaldor was ready. A Phoenix was out immediately. We had the Flame Strike, and then the only thing that was left to do for good old Jaina was hit that Ice Block, and everybody just positioned themselves in a way that they could take it. Juve, by the way, missing his shield, but Wooby is very alone right now. I was actually like talking about his positioning earlier, and I really liked it, but in this case he was in a bit of an awkward spot and got punished for it. 14 kills against 7, so all of a sudden we're having Gamers2 now here on level 20 starting to make a lot of headway, and they are trying to get that Dragon Knight. Kaysil is going to try and hit an Ice Lance or something, but nope. Dragon statue has been captured. Wooby up at the top lane was a bit too late with his Anubarak, or sorry, in this case it was Breeze on Anubarak. Wooby was still dead. So yeah, but yeah, Anubarak was not ready to capture the Dragon Knight. He wasn't fast enough, or to at least get the shrine there. That's what I wanted to say. And yeah, now Shiku, that's this 1000 damage. Every single hit, 1000 damage, and Shiku is putting that to use at the keep. So with Fnatic early on having 14 kills against 5, they were in a really good spot, but they didn't take a single keep down, and now it's the first Dragonite that we're seeing for Gamers2, and they immediately get a keep because the Dragonite and the objectives are now so strong. And not even stopping with that, they go through the wall at the bot lane, and they're starting to take the next one down here as well. I like that they open up an escape path first, but the rotation here is very, very strong, and that of course delivers more experience into their hands, and they've already taken the lead. They are on level 23 in a few seconds. Dragonite is only going to survive for another half minute, only, duh. But yeah, with 36% health, they could deliver quite a bit of damage against that keep if they get an opportunity. But Wooby is back by now, so Vala is back in the game. And with this, they start to defend with 5-man, but it's another keep. I mean, this is just too much damage. 1000 damage with every single hit, and then you have a Phoenix and a Flame Strike as well. Khaldor's poking from a safe distance. Yeah. He's even going to the top and drops the well there, but by now it's only 5 seconds left on the Dragonite, so this is about to be it. And Gamers2 is starting to move back. They are making this tense again. I mean, this is getting to be a very exciting match. We already had Fnatic with the early lead after the first game. They won the match in Cursed Hollow. Now they are here on Shire, where they dominated in the early game, but now in the late game, those triple warriors are super, super tanky, very difficult to take down. And that's, again, where this auto-attack on Vala might have been a good choice. Of course, the double imposing presence is a problem if you go into auto-attack builds, but at least Tyrael could have been dropped very, very fast. Also, it would have, well, you would have needed to go into your Nexus Fans at level 20, and that takes the Bolt of the Storm away. So, both of the builds are kind of viable. I mean, it really depends on what you want to do, and there's, like, advantages and disadvantages to both builds. I'm pretty sure that Meteor Makers would have gone into an auto-attack build against the triple tank that they are running here. But still, Fnatic is playing a bit of a different style, tries to go for more control in these fights now, and especially, of course, with that aggressive Bolt that they already used a few times, they could drop a target here. It's actually also interesting to think about the last fight where Zagara used the more extremely late. If she would have used that in the battle itself when the other two heroes started to engage with that Bolt of the Storm, maybe they could have taken the battle. Like, I'm not quite sure, but sectioning off a few heroes this early in the fight would have probably been pretty good. In general, Fnatic should do well in those fights. If they use the Web Blast and the Maw at the beginning and then get to isolate one or two heroes, they should be able to take those down. So it's all about the communication. It's really all there is. They need to communicate this properly. They need to make sure that they somehow get to Malfurion, that they get to Khaldor. Because if you think about Malfurion, the first thing that comes to mind is that he doesn't have an ice block. So without the ice block, he's going to be very vulnerable once that you go through those tanks. And that's of course not easy since there are 3 of them. But if you get a decent Maw and you just trap 1 or 2 of them, and then you get a Web Blast as well and you isolate another one, then there's not too much that Malfurion can do. You can even blink forward with the rest of your team and really get the damage in if you feel like it. Of course, you annihilate one of your escapes then, but we still have a few escapes ready for them. But it's of course a huge commitment that you would make with such a move. But I feel at this point they have to do something like this. They can't play too passive. They need to make a move like that and try to just put everything on one card. Move in with those heroes that can dish out the damage, drop Malfurion, the rest tries to section off a few with more, with Web Blast, and it looks more and more like it's going to be... What was Juve doing, by the way? Trying to hide in the bush on creep? Huh? That's not gonna work. He must have... Did he just have a brain fart and thought that they couldn't see him, or did he just say, like, okay, I don't care? I'm not sure. They move in, though. Breeze is there. Water Elemental is already on Bashik. He blinks away. Here comes the Web Blast. Oh, not quite yet. Yep, Web Blast there. More also. Now Shiku and Nika are on the backline, but they're going for Malfurion. They're trying to drop him, but he was not really coordinated the way that he should have been. They're trying to drop him, and they are going to get him. Nice Iceblock on Jaina, but too late. Nobody's going to be able to heal her. There was an attempt to throw in some heals, but it was too late. The Divine Shield had to be used earlier. We have a kill for a kill, but without a healer, it's going to be a bit tricky for... well, Gamers2. The thing is, though, they have 3 warriors, and they have still their hardened shields available. So yeah, Shiku moves up to the mid lane, trying to get another Dragonite, but we have at the top Wooby on his Vala, getting one of the shrines. Mena already dying once, had redemption ready, but here comes the damage from everybody around him, and the second kill against Uther is finally going to drop him for good. So yeah, Shiku is still there, moving away once again. There's Nika as well. Yeah, it's just like, the problem that I still have a bit with that Vala build is that she gives you... I don't think that the damage that she has does really anything. It's the control that she adds. But the damage isn't really... It's not targeted enough, because those tanks will survive, and you need more burst damage if you really want to take one of those tanks down. There's another Dragonite, and Nika could now end it. Lowell is there, but they still have to wait for their healer, and if the healer is down, then your sustain just suffers. If you have 3 warriors, you can still deal with that, I suppose. But in this case, it's very unlikely that Fnatic is going to survive this push. They're moving in once again. Gamers2, that is the kill. This is the kill that they needed earlier. Now they drop Kel'Thas. And they also proc the shield on Juve. But Zagara is taken out as well. Gets the Maw off, but it's a bit too late. Well, the kill against Kel'Thas, that was one of those that they had to get in a bit earlier, and I mean, now it might be too late. Malfurion is dead, but that Dragonite, I mean, how can you deal with this? The Dragonite dishes out 102,000, well, 1,200 damage. 100,000 damage would be much, but yeah, this is gonna be it. The Dragonite is web blasted! What? I didn't even know that works! But the game ends, and there it is, the GG and the tie in the series as Gamers2 wins the second game against Fnatic. Game number 3 on Haunted Mines. Fnatic really likes to play this map because they feel that they are better prepared to play matches on Haunted Mines than other teams, and they are currently trying a very interesting setup here. They already started early on to pick an Illidan together with an Abathur at the front line, and suddenly Gamers2 said, you know what? Our triple warrior lineup worked really well on the last map, let's do that again. And they went into Anubarak, into Leoric, and they have also Tiro with it. Of course, on Haunted Mines it's all about like that early game, and you really want to have like stronger heroes with that in general, which also put a Vala into their hands now. But at this point, we are also seeing a very interesting twist at the end of the draft. Fnatic just suddenly said, alright, you run 3 melees, you also have a Rhaegar at the front line, kind of melee as well. We are going to put a Kerrigan in play on our last pick, and all of a sudden, with a Kerrigan in her primal grasp, and of course those additional blades that she can use then to stun everybody out, that's a lot of CC that you have right there. A lot of crowd control spells that you can use, but of course you have to get those in. So the Kerrigan play maybe a bit of a risk. They have a double melee assassin now that they're running together with their Arthurs, the solo tank of the team, but this is definitely going to be a super aggressive game. Haunted Mines is going to be the last map in the best of 3 series here at the Topachat Tournament. It is the bronze match between these two teams, and let's find out together who's gonna win the last map. Alright everybody, welcome to the third game, the final map between Fnatic and Gamers2. It is the third place decider, and only one of those teams will be able to prevail here in this best of 3. Bacek on Vala on the left side for Gamers2, Leo from Korea on Rhaegar, Juve on Anubarak, Shihu on Leoric, and Nika on Tyrael. To the right side we have Lowell on Illidan, we have Bubi on Kerrigan, Breeze on Arthurs, Main on Uther, and Kesel on Zagara. So pretty curious lineups that we see for the two teams. Of course, Haunted Mines is always a map where we have extremely different drafts from any other map in the map pool, and it is again a triple warrior setup for Gamers2. They have with Rhaegar also a melee healer, and this means they have 4 melee heroes in their lineup, and that triggered a double melee assassin for Fnatic. They started things off with an Arthurs, went into the Uther, and then also decided to go Illidan, and later on added the Kerrigan after all. I was actually a bit sad when Illidan appeared on the draft, because I was hoping for a Kerrigan and was talking about her and the great synergy that she has, especially with Arthurs, but then they used the Illidan instead, and I was like a bit sad about it. But then, when we had such a heavy melee focus for Gamers2, they decided to use Kerrigan after all. And it's actually kind of nice that Kerrigan, now going up against so many melee heroes, should be able to get her stun combination in. So the entire reason to go Kerrigan here is really just the control and the double stun comp that you're trying to apply. And then Arthurs will be there for the Howling Blast to lock these targets down. Talking about locking targets down, Shihu at the top lane was locked down for a second, but he's already moving away. When we're talking talents, we have reanimation taken for Leoric again. It is, in this case, a reduction on the mana costs for Rhaegar, and Vala decided to move into the arrow build in this case. It's going to be interesting for the fights that we are going to see in those mines, because the skeletons can also trick the arrows, and therefore it's going to be a bit more difficult to really get the damage in unless the skeletons are already gone. So you have to be really careful about when you are launching your arrow. So the Hungering Arrow in this case is going to be applied, Puncturing Arrow is going to follow on level 4, and we have on the side of Arthur's block on 1, it's going to be Destruction or Demolitionist, sorry, Destruction of course, on level 4. Would be interesting to see Destruction Demolitionist in one talent here for Arthur's. But yeah, there's the lockdown. Whoopi with a stun attempt, nah, not even quite. Okay, so they put some damage in, not too much. Whoopi is waiting for an opportunity to really get his combo off, and that is one of the things where Kerrigan has to deliver some damage. The big important fight is going to be the first one in the mines, and they're already starting to move over here. Yeah, here comes the stun again. Howling Blast attempt, in this case missing. One hero is already down, and everybody is just crowding onto the entrance. They want to go for this one. Kesil is there. Whoopi is waiting. He's really waiting for this combo. The stun lock that we're going to see on Kerrigan. Very patient, not trying to jump anybody just yet, and of course Whoopi is very well aware that Gamers2 is gonna wait for him to do that. Kerrigan gets 2, the Howling Blast is there, and that's exactly what they were trying to accomplish, but they are still a bit split, and over here Breeze is taking too much damage. Juve is moving in. Oh, Kerrigan with a 4-man Primal Grasp, and they get the kill against Leoric and also against Tyrael. Very well played. Exactly the setup and the role that Kerrigan has to play here, trying to get the damage in once that everybody is in one of those narrow choke points here, in one of those corridors. Then she can move in, can get that Primal Grasp and follow it up with the additional stun. So extremely well played. The Blades hitting 4 heroes. Now we have level 4 already for both of the teams, but a slight lead for Fnatic still, and they are going for Shiku now. He's already moving away and is locked down. Leoric, great move here by Whoopi. They completely ignored the body that he left behind, just waited for the lingering or for the apparition for the Wraith Walk to end and jumped in right afterwards. I'm really liking what we are, by the way, seeing on the side of good old Anubarak, because what Anubarak is currently doing here, he went on level 4 for a talent that allows him now to push out even more area damage. So in this case, it's actually the Locust Needles. 50% of your basic attack is, or attack damage is applied to the minions surrounding it, so he can push in lanes pretty easily, and it also means that he can take down those skeleton camps much easier. But the problem is that he, is taken out now. And another lockdown. So much control. Leoric gets away with no hit points whatsoever. Whoopi trying to go in. Went for Envenom on level 4. We're seeing Hardened Bones on Shiku, and that talent kept him alive in that last fight. But it is already 4 kills against 0, and down here we have Lowell and Breeze taking care of the skulls at the boss. They're gonna get a really decent one. It's going to be, for them, 54 skulls. Not too bad, but still. They got the kills in, they have their advantage in experience, and this is going to be, at least in the early game, a very solid game for them. Of course, the question is, can they really maintain this lead even in the later stages of the game, and that's where it's going to become extremely interesting. Gamers2 has chosen its composition for a reason. In the late game, it's extremely tanky, it's very difficult to drop these heroes, and the problem that Fnatic is going to run into at some point is that for Illidan, who is always brawling up at the front line, it's not going to be easy going up against 3 warriors, especially when they are starting to get their sustain talents. So early on, Fnatic should have a huge lead in the team fights, especially when Whoopi is able to hit his combo, but then in the later stages of the game it could get a bit tricky for them, so they have to be careful here and make sure that the early advantage is something that they exploit completely. They took the camp in the mid lane because they could. We have them also now, as we also see for Gamers2, taking their own Siege Giant camp. Both of the teams now trying, of course, to defend against the golems. There's not really too much else happening. The level 7 talent now gave us Wound tap for Arthur's. We're having a battle momentum for Kerrigan. No adaptation or anything, so she doesn't really have the opportunity to jump to one of the allies, so no additional escape for Kerrigan. For Leoric, we are currently also seeing him going in that swing again. And there is that double arrow, by the way, for Bashek on his Vala, so he's going to be able to get a lot of damage out there. If you go into a Q build, like oftentimes you will see a Vala at a Q build, it depends a bit on the map. Shire is a good one for it. Every single time you have objectives on one particular spot, but it's also extremely solid when you're up against melee assassins, and that's one of the reasons why Vala decided to go for this one, since you have not only a lot of single target damage if you get jumped in the backline, but you also at the same time have some sustain thanks to the life leech that you have on level 1 on the arrow. So that's one of the reasons why we're seeing this particular build now taken. We have more control for Anubarak, with also now the Bed of Barbs chosen on level 7. Both of the healers, by the way, went for Cleanse, so that's one of the things that we're going to see here. Paralyzing Rage, as indicated by our observer in the game, is the talent on level 7 for Leoric, and up here at the top, already the fight. Illidan has to move back. Lowell, by the way, on this map did not go for Thrill of Battle. It's the chosen talent for Lowell in most cases, and it's again a really nice adjustment. If you paid attention to the last few times when we casted games of Fnatic, one of the main reasons, or the main reason, why Lowell goes for Thrill of Battle is that he wants to mitigate the damage that the spellcaster damage dealers on the opponent's team can dish out. For example, a Jaina, or also a Kel'Thas. If he goes into Thrill of Battle, he reduces the cooldown on his evasion, and as he is going on level 13 for 6th Sense, it's also going to reduce the cooldown, of course, on that particular talent. Therefore, he can negate a lot of the Jaina or Kel'Thas damage when he goes for Thrill of Battle and just activates his evasion over and over again. In this case, we don't have any spellcasters. There's only 3 warriors, and in the back line we're seeing Vala, who can definitely get some spell damage out there, but she's also relying heavily on her auto attacks. So he just said that in this case, he doesn't really need it. He wants to go into his first 8 regardless. So just a little thing, just to give you a bit of an idea of how exactly Illidan gets played by some of the top Illidan players on the server right now, in case that you were wondering why he made an adjustment on this map now in particular to what he's been playing over the last few weeks. With the level 10s now in play and the mines opening in 17 seconds, Gamers2 needs to soak experience. They cannot possibly enter the mines without getting that talent, and Illidan is already down there, as is now Kerrigan. So they are getting in position. Mid lane, of course. This is where you get most of the skulls. This left camp and the one to the right. We have Metamorphosis. There's also more Divine Shield. Not Reanimation. This looks pretty much the same. The talent that we see there, but it's not Reanimation. It isn't the Army of the Dead. And the Maelstrom on Kerrigan, since she has the support of the Divine Shield. The talents that we're seeing for Gamers2 though: Ancestral Healing, Strafe, Locust Swarm, no Web Blast. That's a bit of a surprise. We are seeing the March of the Black King, and it is also the Judgment. That Locust Swarm, somebody will have to explain that to me, because I'm going to be completely honest here. I do not understand this choice, since I thought it would be great for them to have a Web Blast so that they can Web Blast Uther and make sure that Kerrigan doesn't get a Divine Shield, or Illidan. Now Kerrigan or Illidan are going to be gods amongst men in those team fights. Yes, it's going to give Juve a bit more sustain on his Anubarak, but I still feel that's a very odd choice to go for. Nice lockdown by Wooby. He is drained though. Good Maw isolating 3 of the heroes here. Juve already jumping away. Metamorphosis already used by Lolus, going deep, real deep. Leoric is dead, and they get the kill against Tyrael now. Another one follows as Rhaegar dies, and it is a 4-man wipe. Only Vala surviving, and here comes Fnatic moving in against the boss. That was very, very solid here, and especially the melee assassins, of course, wrecking face in this one. Still, it baffles me to see that Locust Swarm, especially when you're playing with this many melee heroes. If you have 2 more warriors to your side, I do not think you need Locust Swarm. Why would you? It is a talent that gives you a bit more damage, and it gives you a certain amount of self-sustain, but you don't really need that too much if you have 2 heroes at your side that can stun out an opponent, slow them down, and just draw away the attention from you. But using it against the Divine Shield would have been just so valuable for them. Once Kerrigan or Illidan are in trouble, Uther can just simply go for heals, Divine Shield, and then for a few seconds these 2 heroes will just wreck everybody. And if it's a fight in a really narrow space, then Kerrigan and Illidan are just going to reign supreme now with that Divine Shield. So that's a very, very odd choice. For now, we have level 12 versus level 11, and Fnatic has an 82 Skull Golem that they are currently using at the bot lane to push this in, and this is really getting scary for Gamers2. This is the last map in the best of 3 series. Whoever loses it here is 4th place in the tournament, and well, of course, you want to reach at least the 3rd place. If you can't go into the final, at least that's something what you want to do. They're gonna jump here in once again. Wooby and Lowell up at the front. Kerrigan waiting for an opportunity to grasp somebody. The first tower is down. The gate is gone. The boss moves in again, and they lock down one of the heroes. Leoric moving away in the last second. The Howling Blast not hitting. But we see Fnatic still behind the Golem, taking the position there, waiting for somebody to overextend. This keep is starting to get extremely low. Just look at the boss. With 82 skulls that they got, he is still nearly on full health, and they get the kill against Tyrael. The heal is too late. Oh, can they move for core? I don't think so, but it's a 4 versus 5 situation. If they can get another kill, then maybe, but the Maw misses. And they get the lockdown, and Anubarak is dead again, and so is Leoric. They are gonna finish the game here, at least they're gonna try. They're already following Leon, trying to push him back, but they go for core now, and that boss is just simply moving in as it is. Ah, this is a disaster for Gamers2. They lost all of the fights so far, and then got locked down like this. This is just too much. Divine Shield saving Zagara. They get the damage in. The boss alone is gonna finish it from here on out. Vubi dies in the end, but he did what he had to. He locked down everybody, and this is GG as Fnatic takes the series against Gamers2 and comes in 3rd place at the Topachat Tournament. Fnatic with a victory. Kerrigan over and over getting these stun combos in, and they have so much damage, all that momentum that they gather in these areas, and they just like burst down the entire Gamers2 team and take fight after fight after fight. And with that second golem already, so much damage, 82 skulls on that thing, and they move through and take the game. Great match here by Fnatic. They snowballed heavily in the late game, and you could really tell that with that melee heavy focus that we had on the side of Gamers2, they just didn't have anything that they could use against Kerrigan. Once Kerrigan got those stun combos in, they were able to get everybody through, and a big mistake in my opinion still to not get Web Blast on Anubarak, because let's face it, Kerrigan or Illidan, doesn't matter which one you give that Divine Shield, as long as you can't drop them, they can do whatever they want. They are going to be amazing and super strong. So very solid performance here by Fnatic. Gamers2 maybe making a bit of a mistake with that heroic ability on Anubarak and making it a bit easier for them than it had to be, but Kerrigan, of course, in this particular setup really shines. I hope that you guys enjoyed the series. It was cool games, I think, and if you did, then make sure that you give the video a thumbs up on YouTube. Also, of course, subscribe to Khaldor TV if you haven't hit that sub button yet. And guys, if you have any questions, just drop them in the comment section. I'm going to be back with more content on Khaldor TV pretty soon. More Heroes of the Storm here. Thank you very much for tuning in today, and see you next time. Have a good day, have a good week, and bye-bye.